This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Regina League.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I'm so excited to meet with you this morning. I love your restaurant, Emmet's Social Table, in the beautiful historic downtown Waxhaw. So welcome. I know you and Megan opened in 2018, and tell our audience a little bit about that journey and how you found that awesome location.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you for welcoming us to do this with you today. It really just fell in our lap. We were happy with what we were doing. Through a mutual friend once, one night we got a phone call and someone just wanted an opinion on the space they had. And I went down and looked at it and came home and chatted with my wife that day and said, we talked a little bit and said, maybe it's time for us to branch out and do our own thing. And we kind of talked, asked around a bunch of different people what their thoughts were. And we threw a menu together, an idea together, and we agreed to partner up with the gentleman who's putting this business together. And so, or this development together, I should say, but to have such a unique space, I still remember seeing it for the first time. You couldn't not fall in love with it. It's not something you can build anymore. It's just has such unique character and really tells the history of how long it's been there. It's been there since 1898, but just you can see how many, and you can see how many different times it's been renovated through different archways that used to be doors, it used to be windows, and just trying to figure out what it was used for, how they used to enter in those ways, and so it was just really interesting and unique building to be part of. Was
it a mill?
Yeah, it was originally. It was called the Rodman Heath Cotton Mill, and it opened in 1898, like I said, and it closed through in the mid 1940s, and then over the years, a few other companies came in. But the cool part is, there's I believe it was the Monroe Sweater Company that was in there from the 80s and maybe early 90s. But there's still people that come in all the time and say, "Oh, my grandparent or my parent worked here."
I'm sure.
One time we had somebody bring us a paycheck stub from one of their relatives that had been paid from that spot. So it's neat that town, people that have been there, we were talking off air before we started this about some of the people that are original to this town, and you get a lot more of them down there out in the Waxhaw area. And so a lot of them have really seen that whole building thrive, then go down. Now to see it thrive again, it makes them happy to see it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, the downtown Waxhaw area. If people haven't been there, it is beyond charming. Mm-hmm. It takes you away from the city. And I always say I feel like I'm in the mountains or something when I'm in Waxhaw, in that area. So, Dan, what you mentioned, you kind of it said it was time for you to do your own thing. What were you already in the restaurant business prior to this?
Yes, I had. I moved down here about 18 years ago, and I never worked in the restaurant business. I found myself working in it, and said, "Hey, I'm okay at this." So I just kind of started chasing it a little bit, and was very fortunate to jump on with a really great company. Then about a year later, my now wife started working at that same restaurant. We met, and we both grew with this company, and eventually getting married and having children, and kind of moved all over. We had lived out in Asheville for a number of years as well, and really a lot of that time in Asheville influenced a lot of the feel for what we did with our menu, with the small plates and American style tapas thing, because we still love going to downtown Asheville and hop around different places, getting a glass of wine and a meat and cheese board, or going somewhere and getting some sliders or small bites to share among us. So.
Well, I was looking at the menu. You have some very, very cool things. Is it fried deviled eggs? Did I read that right?
You did. That's a fun story. I think my wife and I have some different stories on that. But there was a day that we had been messing around with pork belly, that eventually turned to our pork belly tacos. And as you can imagine, we didn't have a restaurant yet, so we were doing stuff out of our kitchen at our home, and so the whole house smelled like pork belly. So my wife is probably not the hugest fan of that, but we knew it was an item we wanted to have. But I came home, her friend from Asheville had been visiting, and they were talking about these fried deviled eggs, and that her friend had. And so, I knew right away, because my wife is really, Megan's really the creative one here. I'm kind of, that's why we team up well. She has the ideas, and I'm pretty good with how do we streamline it? How do we mass produce these things? And right away I knew when her friend mentioned these fried deviled eggs, she looked right at me and I said, no. I can never, I've dealt with deviled eggs before, said there's no way we're going to be able to mass produce deviled eggs. So, my version of this is a couple of glasses of wine later. What are we doing?
I have a vision you're creating.
Yeah. That's it. Next thing is like I'm being convinced, and we're hard boiling some deviled eggs in the kitchen, and we had the pork belly from that day, and so it just kind of happened. And we had the red pepper jelly as well. So, and then we tried it, and it kind of went from we are never going to be able to do this to how do we do this, because we really knew right away that moment this would be a signature item, and it really has. I was just looking the other day at a product mix of what we've sold, and we sold well over 1,000 orders of those just in the month of May. And so it's just
oh my God,
it's a lot of deviled eggs. That is, yeah,
that's a lot of deviled eggs. I think what strikes me is this wonderful variety, and you also provide a gluten-free menu, kids. I mean, there's something seafood, beef, and I have to talk about your bar, your craft beer, wine, the Bloody Mary, by the way. Oh my goodness, tell me about the Bloody Mary.
I mean, everything. We really tried when we took our cocktail list. It was really a how do we have some fun with it and look at some throwback drinks, through all the time that the mill's been open. That was really our philosophy with it. And we had one of our opening general manager, another Megan, and my wife, Megan. So as you can imagine, that was fun to decipher between the Megans for 6 years. But, they really took the reins on that and came up with some really awesome cocktails people loved. You have the Bloody Mary, the Moonshine Margarita has been a huge hit. You don't want to have too many of those, but it's a very popular drink. The Retro Cosmo has been a huge drink for us as well. And then just having the old setting, what's fun about the bar in general is, and really everything in that building is, we're fortunate that when they demoed the whole building, they saved all of the materials that they demoed. So that bar is built out of railroad ties, full on railroad ties that were demoed from that building. And then we sat there. I still have pictures of us spacing it all out and designing the bar itself. So it really just has, not only are the drinks kind of throwbacky and everything else with it, but every bit of that bar, the shelving is old tongue and groove flooring from the mill. So everything is really just tied to the history of that space.
That is super, super cool. Wow. As far as other menu items, you use the word signature. Share with me a couple other than the deviled eggs, and then tell me some other items.
Yeah. Gosh, it's funny. A lot of times people come in and they'll ask us, what's your favorite menu item? And when whether you or we're very fortunate to have a lot of friends in this business as well that helped us kind of develop this menu, but you're passionate about all of them, right? Because there was a reason you put them on the menu. The mill fries have been something that have been very, very popular. It comes with our homemade ranch, our homemade jalapeno cheese sauce, and something that people have just become obsessed with, which is our curry ketchup. That is just kind of a unique twist on ketchup, but it really goes well with everything. My personal favorite, if I had to choose one, is the BLT sliders. People have had a basic BLT before, but we do it with our crispy green tomato, arugula, bacon, and a homemade sriracha aioli as well. So it really, all those flavors kind of come together really, really well. We can go all over. We have our pan-seared tenderloin, which is a unique setup. The biggest thing that when we designed the menu, the bulk of it was really trying to make it so everything truly was shareable. When the whole tagline of the social table was really to create conversation about the food. Hopefully it's positive conversation about the food, but to create conversation about the food that they have in front of them. So by doing that, you need to make everything a shareable item, right? So they can be tasting the same thing and hopefully experiencing the same positive flavors as everybody else at the table.
Yeah.
So that's really
wow. My mouth is watering just looking at the menu and everything online. So I noticed you're open 7 days a week. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. Yes.
So what do you do for fun when you have some downtime? Or do you?
Yeah. So we've been very fortunate over the years to have some really great people that work for us and have gotten us to where we're at. I mentioned the other Megan earlier. She was a huge part in our growth and development. We've had some other great managers we have now, our staff, really, kitchen everywhere from dishwashers to hosts to everything. We're very fortunate to have great people. Free time's tough. We have 2 young daughters as well, and so a couple years ago I started coaching softball for my youngest. That is an interesting time investment, and our oldest is into dance, and they both do swim. So it's just trying to find that balance. I would say balance is the hardest thing to figure out, especially when my wife and I are both involved in the business. It definitely takes its time.
Absolutely. Well, it's wonderful that a husband and wife can work together, but yet, find the time to get away together as well. Well, it is a pleasure. Tell our audience your location, address, phone number, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's 401 East South Main Street down in Waxhaw. Phone number is 704-233-7813. It's also at emmetsnc.com. And then, nice thing a lot of people don't know is you can, right now we do groups of reservations for groups of 6 or more, but a lot of times people will call and ask for smaller groups. But we do offer our online call ahead seating kind of things. So you can get text message update and things like that. So that can be done through Google or directly through our website as well. We also have another restaurant over in Fort Mill. I'll give a little plug too. So we have it's a pizza place called Center Theater Pie. So it's pizza and ice cream. And so that's over on Main Street in Fort Mill, also another older building. So it used to be a movie theater from the 50s.
What style of pizza?
It's New York style pizza. So it's had pretty good reviews so far. So it's only been about 8 or 9 months. So it's still growing, but it's doing a great job so far.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank
well,
you.
It has been a pleasure to chat with you, and I'm definitely coming to try the fried deviled eggs. You've got me very intrigued. Thank you.
You'll enjoy them, I promise.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpsouthcharlotte.com. That's gnpsouthcharlotte.com or call 980-351-5719.